Straight ahead on Law&Crime Daily. The murder of beauty queen Tara Grinstead.
As it related to his relationship with Bo Dukes, how would you describe their friendship?
I would have described them as best friends.
Ryan Duke's relationship with Bo Dukes takes center stage in the Georgia case. And a sexual assault victim tells her story.
Jonathan had said, "You're caught. This is the most embarrassing thing ever." He said to me, "Look, Batali is calling you. Mario Batali, he's go over there and delete the photo."
And did you go over there?
I did go over there.
As celebrity chef Mario Batali stands trial for sexual assault. Plus, Johnny Depp's attorneys have a powerful reaction when ex-wife Amber Heard mentions Kate Moss while on the stand.
I just, in my head, instantly think of Kate Moss and the stairs, and I swung at him.
But first, a nationwide manhunt comes to a deadly end. The newest details in the search for corrections officer and inmate on the run. Law&Crime Daily covering court cases from coast to coast. Welcome everyone to Law&Crime Daily. I'm your host, Brian Buckmeyer. A nationwide manhunt ends with a murder suspect in custody with high-speed police chase and the death of an Alabama corrections officer. It all started on April 29th when corrections officer Vicky White and inmate Casey White disappeared. The pair were not related, but have been involved or may have been involved in a romantic relationship. They were last seen leaving the Lauderdale County Jail when Vicky White took Casey White for a mental health evaluation. Officials say she planned to see a doctor after dropping off Casey White because she was not feeling well. But after that, neither one returned to the jail. This led authorities on a days-long manhunt that ended in Evansville, Indiana, where surveillance video caught Casey White on camera at a car wash. After that, the pair led authorities on a high-speed chase that ended in a crash. According to the U.S. Marshals Service, Casey White emerged from the crash saying, quote, "Please help my wife. She just shot herself in the head and I didn't do it." Vicky White later died in the hospital of what appeared to be self-inflicted injuries. An autopsy was set to be performed on Tuesday. Casey White was taken into custody following the crash. At the time of his escape, he was already charged with 2 counts of capital murder. From here, he will be extradited back to Alabama, where he will be arraigned. Joining us today is criminal defense attorney Bernardo Villalona and co-host Terry Austin. Bernardo, self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. Are you buying that? What evidence could we look at to see whether or not Vicky White actually took her life?
Allegedly a self-inflicted gunshot wound, because we still have to see the evidence that exists that shows that it was actually her who actually inflicted this self-inflicted gunshot wound. But one of the things I want to know, was it to her left side, her right side? Is she left-handed? Is she right-handed? Also want to know the gun itself. Who does the gun belong to? Is there any other DNA or fingerprints on that gun? Does Casey has his fingerprints or DNA on that gun? But most importantly, right now, I want to know, was it to the left side or the right side? If she's left-handed and a self-inflicted gunshot wound was to the left side, and she's on the left side of the car at the driver's seat, then that is clear and convincing evidence that it was self-inflicted. But we don't know. We just have to wait and see.
I'll throw out another one, gunshot residue. Whose hands is it in? Is it in Casey's or Vicky's? Terry, what happens to Casey White's legal troubles now?
Oh, well, he has a whole slew of additional legal problems here. We already know, as you mentioned, that he's been accused of counts of capital murder. Now he is going to be accused with escape from prison. He could be accused of reckless endangerment in connection with that car chase. And we know that there were weapons in the car, and so he could be charged with gun. As long as we think that those weapons might not be legal, he could definitely be charged with having a legal weapon. So a whole lot of additional charges he's facing. And of course, if they think that he killed Ms. White, the police officer, that could be an additional charge.
Yeah, we'll see how that plays out. If the death of a correction officer is a serious charge, something I think both sides are going to want investigated quickly and getting an answer as soon as possible. Thank you both. Still ahead on Law&Crime Daily, celebrity chef Mario Batali stands trial on charges of sexual assault. But first, we take a closer look at Amber Heard's testimony. Why did Depp's attorneys have such a strong reaction when his ex-wife mentioned Kate Moss? That's ahead on Law&Crime Daily. The Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard trial is in recess this week, but there's plenty to talk about, including a British supermodel and ex of Johnny Depp's possibly being brought into the trial. Law&Crime's Anjanette Levy is here to explain. Anjanette?
Well, Brian, just a little bit of history for you here concerning Johnny Depp and Kate Moss. They dated from 1994 to 1997, and we hadn't heard Kate Moss's name brought up in testimony until Amber Heard said her name while she was on the stand. Heard had claimed during the UK trial that she had been told by two people that Johnny Depp threw Kate Moss down a set of stairs. So we tried to find out what all of this could mean.
In my head, instantly think of Kate Moss and the stairs.
The mention of supermodel Kate Moss by Amber Heard was a cause for celebration by Johnny Depp's lawyer, Ben Chew. In a fist pump seen around the world, Chew smiled broadly, as did Depp, when Heard uttered the words Kate Moss. Plaintiff's attorney Catherine Lizardo explains what could be behind that courtroom moment.
I think the reason why Ben Chew was very excited about it is because Amber Heard might have just opened the door regarding prior bad acts, because in civil litigation, you cannot bring in something that the parties did before the incident to show that they have a propensity of doing that, because it's prejudicial.
But bad acts by whom?
That might have opened the door as to her prior bad acts as well, because it's my understanding that there were allegations of domestic abuse against her and her female partner before.
In 2009, Heard was charged with a domestic violence incident at Seattle's airport involving her ex, Tazia Von Ray. The charge was later dropped. Heard said in a deposition there was zero domestic violence and the charge was trumped up. Now back to Depp and Kate Moss. People magazine described the relationship between Moss and Depp as passionate, but also described heated arguments. The magazine cited one incident in 1994 where Depp was accused of trashing a hotel room. Moss was there, but not harmed. A judge dismissed a criminal mischief charge against Depp, and he paid for damages to the hotel room. In a 1998 Rolling Stone piece, Depp described his friendship with writer Hunter S. Thompson. Quote, "I remember laughing constantly. He zeroes in on faults and good points immediately. I was with Kate, and I think he went straight for the romance jugular, like whether I beat her enough. I probably told him, yeah, she gets a severe beating." Moss has never accused Depp of domestic violence and told Vanity Fair in 2012 that she cried for years after her breakup with Depp. "There's nobody that's ever been able to really take care of me," she said. "Johnny did for a bit. I believed what he said, and that's what I missed when I left. Years and years of crying. Oh, the tears."
Maybe because Kate Moss might testify as a rebuttal witness for Johnny Depp.
And maybe that's why I haven't heard back from Kate Moss. I reached out to her agency to see whether or not she had a comment, whether or not she would speak with me about this. And to date, I haven't heard back from her. As for that comment attributed to Johnny Depp in that 1998 Rolling Stone piece, I haven't been able to get a comment from Depp's camp, but sources close to Johnny Depp have told me as late as last week and even again today that Kate Moss remains close to Johnny Depp. They are close friends. She is supporting him through this trial, as she did also in the UK trial. Brian?
Thanks, Anjanette. Terry, Heard is imagining something that, by all accounts, was a rumor. So what does that give Depp the ability to do on cross-examination?
Oh, there's no question that Depp's team is going to cross-examine Heard on that very issue of Kate Moss. They're going to ask her, okay, so you mentioned Kate Moss, and what was your understanding of that incident? And she basically is going to have to say it's all hearsay. She has no understanding of that incident from any sort of personal experience. And if she goes down that path and she tries to say that Kate Moss, in fact, was subject to domestic violence, the next thing they absolutely can do is try to disprove that by either bringing in Kate Moss or asking her for any sort of support of that. And she's not going to be able to do it. So I think she opened the door to that character evidence. I think the judge probably said no unless the door is open, and that's what happened here.
Yeah, Bernard, I know that this case has had a lot of major names on it that have not come to the stand. Should we actually expect Kate Moss or other exes to be brought into this trial to say who in fact has a history of abuse? Don't forget that little bit that Anjanette brought in, that Amber Heard has some skeletons in her closet.
Exactly. So it's all going to depend on how the judge rules. I think what happened before is that the judge wouldn't allow prior bad acts in regards to other people unless the door was open. And that's why they got that fist bump once she mentioned Kate Moss. What I would do if I were on Johnny Depp's defense team is, number one, you want to make sure that if you are going to call Kate Moss, that she's definitely not going to say anything negative about you, that there are no articles out there, no interviews out there, or no conversations out there that will be contrary to what she's going to testify to. I will also ask the judge to allow Johnny Depp to definitely bring out that prior bad act, that even though those charges were dropped, at least be able to question her, because Amber Heard was the one who opened up that door. And as of now, it's Johnny Depp who's prejudiced by her statement.
Now, Anjanette, I know many people are still wanting their fix of Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. Tell us about the podcast Law&Crime is producing about this very trial.
Well, it's a week off the trial, right? Judge S. Karate has a conference, but we are still producing content both on our YouTube page and on Law&Crime's Sidebar podcast. You can find that on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Google, anywhere else you get your podcasts. We have a lot of content we're producing this week to get everybody through and to give them more context to the trial.
Thank you very much. Big information, especially as we look forward to when cross-examination begins. Thank you, everyone. Coming up on Law&Crime Daily, the alleged sexual assault victim speaks out in the trial of celebrity chef Mario Batali. Plus, accused murderer Ryan Duke faces trial as the first witness takes a stand in the Georgia courtroom. Welcome back. A verdict is handed down just one day after celebrity chef Mario Batali's accuser takes the stand. Batali was found not guilty of forcibly kissing and groping Natalie Teeny while the two took a selfie together at a Boston restaurant 5 years ago. The celebrity chef, well known in the New York restaurant scene, grew to fame through his work with Food Network and on ABC's cooking show, The Chew. He's been at the center of the several sexual assault allegations, only one of which resulted in an indecent assault and battery charge for the alleged assault of Teeny. As the trial began Monday morning, Batali waived his right to a jury trial, meaning the judge alone would decide the case. Then, Teeny wasn't shown on camera when she was called to the stand as the first witness to testify. She told the judge what she said happened after Batali saw her sneak a picture of him over her shoulder.
Jonathan had said, "You're caught. This is the most embarrassing thing ever." He said to me, "Look, Batali is calling you. Mario Batali, he's go over there and delete the photo."
And did you go over there?
I did go over there.
When you went over there, what happened?
I started walking and I was like, "Hey, I'm so sorry. I can delete the picture right now. Like, I didn't mean anything of it."
And how did he respond to that?
He said, "No, it was fine. No worries. And hey, let's actually take some selfies instead."
What hand were you taking those selfies with?
I was taking them with my right hand.
Okay, and Mr. Batali's on your left side?
Yes.
Okay, and in many of those photographs, you can see Mr. Batali's left hand pulling your face.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what his right hand was doing?
Yep, so his right hand is all over my breast, all over my rear end, in between my legs, grabbing me in a way that I've never been touched before like that, like squeezing in between my legs, squeezing my vagina to pull me closer to him, like as if that's a normal way to grab someone, just between the legs to pull them towards you.
On the next episode of Law&Crime Daily, we will take a closer look at that not guilty verdict, which was quickly returned. Terry, do you think the verdict would have been the same if this was a jury trial, or did Batali choosing a bench trial win the case for himself?
You know what, Brian, you hit it on the head. I think choosing a bench trial definitely won the case for him. The judge is only going to look at the law. The judge is not going to think about any sort of compassion or any sort of sympathy as far as the victim is concerned, just the law. And I think one of the things the judge said is that this was influenced, the credibility of the victim wasn't something he thought was significant. He said that he thought that she was influenced by money and that she brought the civil suit. So I definitely think that he chose well and that the judge only looked at the facts in front of him and nothing else.
Yeah, Bernardo, so the judge kind of already hinted what his decision was. But with the speed of this verdict, do you think that it could also have been that maybe the prosecution didn't make out their case, or was it strictly the credibility of the alleged victim here?
So the verdict was a combination of two. One, that the prosecution didn't meet out their burden. They had to prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt. But remember, with any case, credibility is at issue. And when you're dealing with the victim in this case, who will be the sole witness in this case, the judge just sat and found that the credibility of this alleged victim, there were many issues with her credibility, and that even though Mr. Batali wasn't at his best on that day, it was disgraceful how he was acting that day, that still the government had not proved their case beyond a reasonable doubt.
All right, interesting. Like we said, we will discuss more of Mario Batali's case with the verdict on the next episode of Law and Crime Daily. When we come back, witnesses take the stand in the Georgia case of Ryan Duke. More than 10 years after beauty queen Tara Grinstead went missing. Welcome back. Witness testimony begins in the trial of Ryan Duke, the Georgia man accused of murdering former teacher Tara Grinstead. The case gained national attention in October 2005 when Grinstead went missing following a local beauty pageant. For years, the case went unsolved until podcast Up and Vanish created a renewed interest in the case. By 2017, former students Ryan Duke and Bo Dukes were arrested and charged in her murder. The pair are not related, but were classmates. Prosecutors say Ryan Duke confessed to killing Grinstead, saying he broke into her home and killed her after a burglary went wrong. After that, Bo Dukes helped burn her body in a pecan orchard. Duke's attorneys later said he was under the influence of drugs during the confession. In 2019, Bo Dukes was tried and found guilty in connection to Grinstead's death. On Monday, Philip Luke, a former student of Grinstead's, explained the dynamic between Ryan Duke and Bo Dukes.
Ryan had a reputation as a peaceful, nonviolent person, didn't he?
He did.
And he had a reputation for being trustworthy.
I would agree, yes.
Overall, Ryan was considered a nice guy.
Yes.
Polite.
Yeah.
You also knew Bo Dukes at the time Miss Grinstead's disappearance, didn't you?
I did.
And other people similar to Ryan, sort of friend groups overlapped, and people you knew Bo.
Sure.
Bo had a reputation as a liar, didn't he?
He did.
And as between Mr. Duke, Mr. Ryan Duke, and Mr. Bo Dukes, Bo was considered the more dominant of those two individuals, wasn't he?
He was.
While defense attorneys painted Bo Dukes as the powerhouse in the relationship, Luke zeroed in on Ryan Duke's relationship with Bo Dukes on redirect.
So the fact that you indicated that you thought he was a good guy, what was that based on?
My interactions with Ryan before she went missing.
Okay. And you don't recall indicating to me at some point, do you recall indicating to me at some point that you were concerned about his depression issues prior to Ms. Grinstead going missing?
I don't believe I did, but I can't say for sure.
Okay. When's the last time that you've actually interacted with Ryan Duke?
Well before Miss Grinstead went missing. Maybe 2004.
So I just want to be clear, in the statements that you've made about Ryan's personality, do you really know what Ryan was like at all in October of 2005?
I do not.
And as it related to his relationship with Bo Dukes, how would you describe their friendship?
I would have described them as best friends.
Bernardo, in Duke's attorney's attempt to paint Bo Dukes as the murderer, how do you think they did after this witness?
And so once the redirect took place, I think they were able to fix the damage that took place during cross-examination. Either way, you can't deny that both of these guys were still friends. And when it comes to this case, in for a penny, in for a pound, Ryan Duke is going to be held accountable for the actions of both of them.
Yeah, in for a penny, I think in for a pound is a great way to describe this case. Terry, does the personalities of the Dukes and who may have pushed the other to commit this crime even matter at the end of the day?
You know, that's another good question. The personalities really shouldn't have anything to do with this. It's like that character evidence that really shouldn't come in. From a legal perspective, you want to look at the concrete evidence. And so you want to look at, and you hope that the jury is looking at the DNA evidence, that they're looking at the cell phone records, they're looking at and listening to witness testimony. You don't want them just thinking about personality. Having said that, I will say you can connect personality to the motive. And if you recall during the opening statement for the defendant here, for Ryan Duke, the defense attorney specifically said, look, this case is about power and it's about influence. And one of the things she said is that Ryan has neither. And she said that the state and that Bo Dukes have both. And what she's actually trying to do is to say that Ryan was manipulated by Bo, that he had nothing to do with it, that he didn't take part in the killing, and even that he didn't take part in any part of this murder. So we'll see who wins out at the end, which of the Dukes prevails.
All right, we'll see how it plays out. Thank you both. And thank you for joining us here on Law and Crime Daily. We'll see you next time as we discuss justice in America.